Hi, my name is Megan, and my partner's name is Aaron, and this is our pendulum clock presentation. This presentation is for our EGR 305 final project. We are part of Section 2 in the Spring 2018 semester.
For this project, it consisted of first picking our desired clock project, which was a mechanical clock that was made out of wood. We then proceeded to split the parts equally amongst us. We then modeled our parts separately. One person assembled them, and then we created the STL files for 3D printing the hour and the minute hand. Our team dynamic was very laid back and very casual. We divided the parts up evenly, as was said earlier, and then one person was in charge of doing the sub-assemblies and final assembly, while the other one was in charge of writing the report.
This is a general picture of our finalized clock, though it is cut a little so that you can get a better zoomed in view of it since the pendulum is fairly long. This shows some of the better detail and shows all the different sub-assemblies put together, which we will discuss on the next slide. So our sub-assemblies are made up of the front, the pendulum, and the back. These were split because it worked best with the different structure or the structures of it and how the different parts interacted within and how they were put together. So to begin, we have our front sub-assembly, which relates to all of the parts related to the front clock frame. Major parts included the clock face and hands, and this is what you think of most when it comes to a clock. I mean, this is how you tell the time, so. Next we have our pendulum subassembly, which provides the rocking moment for the escape. This is actually what keeps the time for the clock, and the major parts include the rod and the bob. This is really important for clocks. You have to make sure that they're accurate, otherwise your clock won't run as it's supposed to, where it changes the minute hand every 60 seconds. It just won't work unless the proportions are correct.
And then our final subassembly is the back subassembly. This is by far the most complex section. However, due to the geometry of how the gears are structured and related to each other in this, it really couldn't be broken up any other way. How this works is that the weight will pull a string and drive the center shaft that will then spin the gears. Which is released by the escape in 60-second intervals to give you a constant stream of time. So major parts in this section, as mentioned before, are the timing wheel, which is what is specifically cut to give out accurate 60-second intervals, and then also the escape, which starts and stops the timing wheel in those increments, the weight which drives it, and the weight that drives it. Sorry. And then for our advanced workbench, we decided to use the Rapid prototype workbench to create STL files for the clock hands. These clock hands, to most effectively not interfere with the timing of the clock, have to be as light as possible, and unfortunately the wood that consists of the rest of this project is just simply too heavy for it to give accurate increments of time. However, as on most clocks, these clock hands tend to be very complex but relatively flat. So you only really have complexity in 2 dimensions, which makes it perfect for 3D printing. So you'll get a nice flat surface on whatever is connected to the bed, and the rest will be hidden towards the clock, so it won't be into view if you require any sort of if the print comes out a little rough. And then this is our final assembly. You can see why we cut off the pendulum a little bit in the beginning. It It's a lot less zoomed in and you can see a little bit less detail, but this gives just a better scope of the actual size of this. We actually originally wanted to see about 3D printing more parts. Originally we wanted to get this entire thing 3D printed. However, large parts like the pendulum rod and the clock face and even the front and back braces just simply are too big to fit in any 3D printer. Thank you for your time here, and hope you have a good evening.